So first of all, let's look at the basic sketch and grid making process of Dreamcatcher mandala. So for a Dreamcatcher mandala, we won't be starting with the midpoint of the paper like your regular mandala. So if you have been drawing, mandalas, you would know that we just find the midpoint of the paper and start from the middle and then draw circles over and over again. But in a Dreamcatcher mandala, it is not the case. So for that, just measure the width of your paper. So since this is a A4 size paper, the width of the paper is 21 centimeter. Now you can apply this formula on any kind of paper. It can be square or A4 or A5, A3, whichever size. So this thing can be applied to all sorts of all measurements of papers for that matter. So A4 size sheet, now you have the width of 21 centimeter and divide it by 2, so it will be 10.5 centimeter. So basically half of that 21 centimeter, and just carefully mark a point at 10.5 and then draw a vertical line. Now keep your ruler aligned and draw a straight vertical line. So basically we just need to divide our paper into two vertical equal parts so that our Dreamcatcher mandala design stays in the middle of the paper and it is not just the symmetry that we need for mandalas is maintained. Now you can do this in any type of paper, square, A5 or A3 or whatever. So we just have divided it into two parts. So I would just repeat the process once again. Just take your ruler and measure the width of the paper. It is 21 centimeter. Take half of it, so it will be 10.5 centimeter. Mark a point and just draw a vertical line. So in this way we have divided the paper into two equal vertical parts. Now when you have divided the paper into two equal parts, two vertical parts, now we will start with the sketch of the Dreamcatcher mandala. So there are many different types of dream catchers and that you can try, but we are going to make a really basic and yet interesting Dreamcatcher mandala for this particular course. So for that, what you need to do is that you remember the 10.5 centimeter mark. So you have to just mark the point right here. You don't need to draw the horizontal line, you just have to remember that this was the midpoint. Okay, so now basically you have like horizontal portions as well. So this upper portion is going to be the the main the round circular area of the Dreamcatcher, and this portion is going to be all of those leaves and everything. So in this way you can like divide your paper and take some measurements before moving on to the sketch. So now what are we going to do is, so now that you have divided your paper into two vertical parts, so now we are going to see how we can draw the sketch of the Dreamcatcher mandala. So there are many different types and variations of Dreamcatcher mandala that you can try, but we are going to try the circular Dreamcatcher mandala, which basically has round circle right here and then it has feathers. So we are going to do that. So for that, remember the 10.5 centimeter mark that you made. So you don't have to draw a horizontal line, just make a mark so that you remember that this was the 10.5 centimeter mark on the line. Now this upper portion of the paper is for the round circular of the Dreamcatcher, and this lower portion will be for all the feathers and all the hanging stuff that is on the Dreamcatcher. So in that way you can easily divide your paper into equal parts to ensure that all the elements of the Dreamcatcher are balanced with each other. So for example, if you just take less than half of this portion, so basically less than this portion, which is like half of your paper, so what will happen is that the upper portion will be too small and all the feathers will be too large, right? And you don't want that. And if you just go beyond this point, what will happen is that the Dreamcatcher the main circular portion will be too big and the feathers will be too small. but we don't want that. We want to just balance out all the elements of the dream catcher. So for that, make sure that this point you have is marked, the 10.5 centimeter point is marked for your reference. So if you want, you can also draw a horizontal line, but that is not needed because we just need a reference point. Now we are going to draw the sketch. So for example, we are going to draw the upper portion first, and then we are going to add the feathers and everything. So for that, just take this portion and measure it. Now it is going to be 15 centimeter. Why? Because the length of your A4 size paper is 30 centimeter, and if you already have marked the point, so it will be like divided by 2 already. So 15 centimeter. Now divide it by 2. So 15 centimeters half would be 7.5 centimeter, right? So mark a point at 7.5 centimeter like this. Now whatever paper you are using, whatever dimensions, you can do that, you can do the same in this as well. So therefore I suggested you to stick to A4 size paper, so that you can understand all the measurements and all the grid and everything properly, and then you can experiment. So 15 centimeter, divided it by half, so we will get 7.5 centimeter, mark a point. Now we are going to draw a circle right here, and it will be a pretty regular kind of a mandala. So what you're gonna do is take your compass and open it till your paper end, or till this midpoint. So it should not be more than this, but it can be less than this, but it cannot be more than this at any case. So what you can do is just take your compass and align it till the end of the paper. Don't just exceed too much, just leave a little space, like I am leaving a little space right here. So leave a little space because it looks neat on the paper, and just we are just going to draw a circle. Now there are no specific measurements that we are using to draw the circle, specific radius and everything, because it totally depends upon you. Just the outer circle should you should just make sure that you draw it in a good way. Now again I am going to just share the radius as well. So it is going to be 7 centimeter. So this is something around 7 centimeter. So draw a circle with a radius of 7 centimeter. Now as I already told you, there is no specific measurement for that, but in case if you are looking for some specific measurements, it is going to be a 7 centimeter circle. Now draw a circle like this, right? So this circle is going to be the the main circular portion of your Dreamcatcher mandala. Now we are going to draw some circles inside, which are going to be concentric circles. Now let me tell you about concentric circles. The circles which start from the same midpoint are known as the concentric circles. So we are not going to change the midpoint, we are just going to reduce the radius of the circle and draw a lot of more circles and layer the mandala. So those circles are known as concentric circles. Now here again there is no specific measurement or the number of layers. You can add as many layers as you want. You can just keep it to 3 or 4 layers, or if you want more intricacy or more detailing, you can also add 7 layers. So as many layers as you want, so that is totally up to you. So now, and again there is no specific measurement or there is no specific radius that we are going to follow here. So now just keep your compass at the same midpoint and just reduce the radius of the circle a little bit, and then draw another circle. Now it can be all the circles can be at a distance of 1 centimeter, 2 centimeter, but make sure that it is at least 1 centimeter, so that all the patterns and motifs that we are going to draw, they can be drawn easily. So again, as I already told you, there are no specific measurements to this. Then we are going to add another circle like this, and after that you can just add a tiny circle inside as well, so that we just have a beautiful middle portion as well. you have to be a little careful while drawing this circle because this is pretty small. So this way. Just draw a rough circle. So you can increase or reduce the number of layers and the distance between the circles as per your choice as well. So we have just added like 1, 2 and 3 layers excluding the center pattern for the main dream catcher portion. Okay, so this is the main dream catcher circular portion. So now we are going to draw the other elements of our dream catcher mandala. So as I showed you the design earlier in the course introduction, this particular dream catcher mandala has a big circle right here, a tiny circle along with some feathers on the sides. Now there are many different kind of dream catcher. You can just search some pictures on Google, or if you have a dream catcher, or if you see a real dream catcher somewhere, you can just get inspired by the design and draw it on the paper in that way. So you can just add and modify all the elements according to your choice. So for example, we are going to draw a tiny mandala, tiny circle right here, but if you don't want, you can just add just the feathers and that will be perfectly fine. So now what are we going to do? Move to the lower portion of the mandala. Right now the lower portion of the mandala also is 15 centimeter. Okay, now divide it by 2, it will be 7.5 centimeter. So just mark a point at 7.5 centimeter to know the midpoint. Now we need a tiny circle like a mini mandala, right, just with one layer. So in somewhere around this. So what are we going to do is, if you draw a mandala in the between portion, it will be too lower, and the distance between the bigger circle and the smaller circle would be too much, and if you draw using this, then it will be overlapping. So we need to find a point which is neither too distant from this circle, neither too near to this circle. And how do we do that? Just keep your ruler onto the lower point. So you have 15 centimeter and you know that this 7.5 centimeter is the midpoint. So now just mark a point at something around 5 or 6 centimeter, so that the mini mandala is aligned with the big mandala. Now as I already told you that we are not taking specific measurements for that matter, but I am telling you some of the measurements so that you can just take that and for reference to draw. Now if you want, you can take any of the measurement of your choice. You can just draw a mini mandala right here and take any random midpoint for that matter as well. So let's mark a midpoint at something around 5 centimeter. That will be fine, right? And then draw a smaller circle. Now again you can take any radius of the circle. Just make sure that it is smaller than this particular big mandala. So you can take like 3 to 4 centimeter radius and that will be perfectly fine. So for this I am taking something around 3 centimeter. So 3 centimeter radius and draw a circle. So this is a very tiny like a smaller mini mandala going to be right here. So I am going to share the measurements and specifications once again. Feel free to rewind and watch the measurements if you want to. So this was your 7.5 centimeter mark and this is your 5 centimeter mark, and the radius of the circle is 3 centimeter. Now we just need one more layer inside it so that this can look like a mandala. We can give it a mandala look. So just take your compass and just reduce the radius a little bit, not too much, and just draw a smaller circle very carefully, so that we just have like one layer of mandala to draw. So this was it. right? So the size and the layers of the the circles varies according to your design. So as I already told you, if you want, you can add more layers to this one, you can also add more layers to this one, and you can also modify the radius of the circle and the measurements as well. So once you have completed this course, feel free to experiment with the different kind of different variations and different sizes of the circles as well. So make sure to do that as well. So once your this another circular portion, mini mandala, is complete, now we are going to draw the feathers. So now you don't need any compass or any ruler for that matter, you just need a pencil, and we are going to draw freehand. So now according to the design, we need two big feathers on this portion and like smaller feathers which are optional again in this portion. So let's draw the bigger feathers first. Now there is a circle right here, so you have to ensure that the feathers don't overlap the circle. And to as you know that the feathers are not always straight, they are like the feathers are like feathers, okay? So they are like they are like just moving here and there with the air, right? So you have to give that look. So for that we are going to draw like not straight feathers but little bend to the side. So the feather shape is going to be like this and the other one is like this, so that we have a much real looking dream catcher mandala for that matter. So let's draw the bigger feathers first. So for that just take any random section. So the feathers, you can add as many feathers as you want, big feathers, small feathers, whatever. So you just have to ensure that whatever you are doing on this side, you have to replicate on this side, because mandala is all about symmetry, and we divided the entire paper into two vertical parts. So whatever you are doing on this side, you have to replicate it on the other side. So just see it as the mirror image of that, not exactly same but a mirror image, okay? So now we are going to just take a random section right here. Again there is no measurement, and we are going to do the same here as well. So these are going to be the the starting point of the feathers. So if you take like two like this outside portion as well and draw feathers here as well, or take this portion as well, so whatever you feel, so feel free to just experiment with that as well. But whatever you are doing right here, you can do here as well. So just a random because in the design we have the feathers, we have two big feathers right here. So for that, now when you have just selected the portion, we are going to draw the feathers. Now just freehand, and make sure that you are using very low pressure on your pencil, because this is a sketch and you are going to it's totally fine if the sketch doesn't come perfectly at first place. So you might need to erase the sketch over and over again, so that will be perfectly fine. So do that. Now just take this portion and light with a very light pressure, just draw a swirl like this. So when you see feathers or leaves, you know that there is a middle stem which holds the entire leaf or the feather for that matter. So this is going to be the your feather. Now what are we going to do is, we are just going to draw a feather leaf kind of outer border, so that we have a reference to draw the feather in that. So just freehand draw swirls. Now these swirls can be in any direction. Now if you want, you can just draw straight as well, or you can just just go freehand. So there is not any particular not any particular specific measurement or specific dimension or type of feather. So you can just draw and see how the entire sketch is looking, and then you can modify the size of the feathers. So when I just drew a feather, you can see that the feather is looking too big according to the circle. So what are we going to do is, we are just going to erase it and reduce the size of the feather. So Dreamcatcher mandala is a very interesting kind of mandala art, and there are many different types in which you can experiment and draw your own design. So the sketching part actually is a little bit trial and error kind of procedure here, because we just see what is looking and what is balancing, and then we are going to draw the feather. So that was a really big feather. So what you can do is just reduce the swirl of the feather, right, and we are going to draw a smaller feather. So just keep it till here and that will be fine, right, and then just reduce the width of the feather. So when you just made the feather that was too wide, now just reduce the width a little bit, and again free-handedly draw the feather. So now this basically looks like a leaf. So the drawing procedure, you can just get inspired by the leaf. So we have a stem, so we first drew that, and then we drew the outer borders, and then we are going to slowly give that feather kind of look that we want in this particular area. Now you can see that this size of the feather is perfect and balanced with the size of the circles that we have drawn till now. So in this way you have to draw and sketch out and see how you can just balance out the entire mandala design with all the feathers and all the elements that you are making. Now when you have completed this particular area for the feather, so you just have to replicate it in the mirror image. So how the mirror looks, it's like a opposite but not exactly opposite. So now just imagine that there is a mirror right here and you have to draw the same mirror image. So just draw it on the right hand side as well. Draw swirl, and it if it's not perfectly symmetrical and perfectly mirror image, that totally fine, because in a dream catcher when you see the feathers, the feather size and the shape of the feathers might be same, but the feather keeps on moving. So it is not always the cause that all the feathers are moving in the same direction or in the same magnitude. So if it's like not exactly same, it's perfectly fine. In fact it's better because it gives that natural feather look, right? So we are going to draw the same kind of feather right here as well, and give a little swirl and join it with the stem. Okay, so this is like the body of the feather. Now we are going to add some other elements to like balance out the entire design. So how do we do that? Now as you can see that we have already added feathers, and if you add like more feathers right here, it will be too much chaotic and too much So now when your the basic sketch of the feathers is also complete, you can just add and see what other elements you wanna add. Now you can add more smaller feathers on the sides as well, or some beads, etc. So depending upon the size of this particular circle and depending upon the size of these big feathers, you can just incorporate all other elements like beads and feathers here and there as well. So let's look at how we can just make our own personalized Dreamcatcher mandala. So for that, what you do is you just see the blank spaces. So as you can see that we need to connect this big circle with this smaller circle. And how do we connect it? Just make sure that this line is intact, and you can just add some beads right here. So these beads kind of join this circle, bigger circle, with this smaller circle, right? Now you can also add some more beads lines. Now you can also add some more beads lines to just make it look more interesting. So we are going to add one more bead line and on each of the sides. So this is like the sketch that we are making, and you are just free to just add as many elements, beads, feathers, whatever you want. You can also add some tiny feathers right here. Now as you can see that we have a pretty good amount of space right here, which can be more than just beads. So you can just add some tiny feathers in this section, because we have a pretty big section right here. So let's add some, some smaller feathers. So start with this particular area, and take it as take this line as the stem, and just draw one feather leaf kind of the body, the same that we made here. So this is going to be a middle feather, right? And then you can either add some smaller feathers right here, or you can add beads. So since we have a pretty good amount of space, we can add some smaller feathers right here as well. So we are going to add one feather on this side. Like, reduce the width of the feather, adjust the size of the feather depending upon whatever space you have. And then we are going to do the same here as well, right? So we have like 3 tiny feathers. Okay, you can also add beads and everything. Now this is like a sketch of the basic sketch. So in this way you can basically just see and try and add elements of your choice in the in the Dreamcatcher mandala. You can add beads, you can add feathers, small feathers, big feathers, whatever you want. Now we can see that we have pretty good amount of space right here. You can leave it as it is. As you can see, the basic sketch is ready, or you can also add some beads. So let's add some beads right here as well, so that it kind of looks really pretty. So just add a line, and do the same in the other portion as well. Okay, now just add some tiny beads, the same that we did here. So this is just a rough sketch, so it's okay. Now to ensure the symmetry, count the number of beads: 1 2 3 4 5 6 and 7, and do the same here as well. So the only thing that you have to ensure is to maintain the symmetry. Whatever you are doing on the left hand side, do it on the right hand side as well. So 5 6 and 7. So this is like the basic sketch of your Dreamcatcher mandala, which you can definitely experiment more. You can like add or modify the number of feathers or beads or everything. You can also just increase the size of this particular circle. If you increase the size of this particular circle, you can create smaller feathers, or you can create more feathers. So whatever, just make sure to experiment with that as well. Now you can also add some beads in the ends of your leaves if you want to. This is a total optional step. So yeah, so in this way our sketch of the Dreamcatcher mandala is ready. This is the basic sketch, basic layout, and now we are going to add and incorporate mandala into it. So in this way you are going to draw a Dreamcatcher mandala. First of all, just get a clear picture of what kind of dream catcher you want. You can either download a picture, or you have a dream catcher or whatever. So get an idea of what kind of dream catcher you want, and then draw the basic sketch, but also enjoy while drawing the basic sketch and go with the flow and see how you can balance all the elements of the mandala. So the size of the elements, the size of the circle, the size of the feathers is a trial and error procedure. You just draw and see if it's looking fine, and then you modify the size according to that. Now the basic sketch of your dream catcher is ready, and we are going to incorporate mandala into it now.